Welcome back. I'm Tyler, you're watching Scarfing Scarves, and welcome to the 25th installment of Last Week Lolita News. At the top of the segment, no one gives a flying fuck about this, let's get down to brass tacks. It all began with Kelly Eden, a kawaii fashion cosplay blogger on YouTube known primarily for having pink hair and the content density of a hollow gourd fucking an equally uninspired hollow gourd. Kelly Eden took a wrong turn at her usual Sailor Moon does blank to instead upload a storytime video about her trip to an Angelic Pretty's shop in the La Foret department store in Tokyo, Japan. The video is 16 fracking minutes long. I watched the entire thing, and for the sake of your sanity, what follows is a condensed version of an otherwise abysmally long trip into what happens when the human brain refuses to accept responsibility, can't configure basic information, and aborts the entire attempt in favor of throwing a shit fit until some unlucky bastard is forced to contend with what looks like hair dye poisoning run amok. We begin in Tokyo, Japan. Kelly was there to shoot what passes for a TV show, and before filming, she had just enough time to inflict her presence on the shopping hub that is La Foret. She was accompanied by her Finnish friend Namiko and Swedish friend Dave, and together they embarked on a minor shopping spree in the Sailor Moon store before heading down to the bottom floor where they have things that actually matter. These things include the quote, Lolita stuff, and it is at this point in the video that she assures her viewers that while she's new to Lolita brand, she quote, knows like her way around Angelic Pretty, Baby the Stars Shine Bright, Alice and the Pirates, and so on. I would like to emphasize that the use of the word like is an attempt to gain time to process a coherent thought is a direct quote and not my own edition of this Valley Girl style verbal abortion. And whatever the case, this girl is dropping names like an unsheared dress, except not because that would actually make sense. I promise this will become relevant in a sec. Apparently, the last time she shopped in this store, there was a massive sale going on, and as she bought blouses she said were usually $180 for 30 USD, she was reportedly familiar with the usual cost. Bookmark this with her claimed familiarity with the main Lolita brands, and I promise this will become relevant later. The point is, AP is expensive, she acknowledges this, and we're moving right along. So, an American, a Swede, and a Finnish guy walk into a shop. I'm sorry there is no joke here because this is reality, and interpreting anything these individuals do as funny is a mistake best made by the cognitively bereft. Anyway, back to the shop. Kelly noted that it didn't look like there was a sale going on this time. Nothing appeared to be marked down, and it was after this observation that she said,
and then I came across this beautiful dress.
She waxed poetic on how ornate it was, gushed over the lace, tears, long sleeves, and crystal cross, and summarized the whole as
so big and lacy and beautiful.
So not cheap. A sentiment which she then echoes by addressing her friend while pointing with quote,
I was like, oh Dave, look, I bet that dress is like really, really expensive.
A multi-tiered dress dripping in lace with long sleeves and a decorative cross? I'm betting you're right. Prepare to fork over a kidney. This is obviously worth at least an entire month's rent to anyone with 2 eyes and a functional prefrontal cortex. Anyone except Dave, because he must run on some kind of decentralized network of instinctually poor decisions. I refuse to believe he has working corneas because he wanders over to look at the price tag, and after a back and forth game where he has her guessing steadily more asinine prices, he says the following. Actually, you're going to be surprised. It's way cheaper. Do you want to guess again? Little did Dave know that the surprise was only truly to come later, but for now, Kelly responded with her final guess of $280.
Is it like 280? Like,
hang in there, it gets worse. Because, and keep in mind that this man was looking directly at the price tag when this transpired, Dave then said, no, it's only 148 American dollars. This causes Kelly to exclaim, no way, and they even look at the price tag together before they both agree that it is only 148 USD. Because drugs beats me. Anyway, wondering why such an impossible bargain hasn't sold and conjecturing that maybe it's too edgy and witchy for the demure maidens of Angelic Pretty, she asked to try the dress on. To which the shop responded with the politest no way in hell a Japanese business can muster, and after describing potential damage or stains to her viewers as the possible reason for their refusal, Kelly then said she noticed that there was no shirring.
It didn't have any shearing.
Shirring is the stretchy stuff that makes a dress fit a range of sizes, kind of like elastic waistbands but for your tits. It is not to be mistaken for shearing, which is what you do to sheep. I've made that mistake before. Please do not try to shave anyone's JSK. They will not appreciate the gesture. Moving right along.
It didn't have any shearing.
Kelly needs shirring. This is made plain when she says,
shearing is kind of a must for me just because of my implants.
And she thought maybe she would pass on the dress, but then Dave, who allegedly speaks a little Japanese, started talking to the clerk. Kelly says the clerk said something Dave couldn't understand, but here's her say, quote,
I think she said something that like, he couldn't really understand, but I knew she said like, oh, like sugoi, it's a good price.
Brilliant. And then says it comes with a bonnet.
Said, oh, it comes with a bonnet.
You heard right. A $148 long-sleeved, lace-covered, crystal-embellished, angelic pretty dress that comes with a bonnet.
It comes with a bonnet.
I've got a bridge I can sell you that comes with a lucrative stake in Blockbuster. If you're interested, sign on the dotted line, nothing to see here. The thing is, Kelly knows that
bonnets by themselves at Angelic Pretty sell for like $140, $150.
By themselves. The aforementioned lack of shoring is essentially a death sentence for her tits. So what follows is a confusing sequence of events, only compounded by her admission that she is going to buy it, knowing that it won't fit because fuck it. She motions to the clearly confused saleswoman that she intends to purchase it, and the language barrier that was the last thing standing between her and the dire consequences for her actions was made moot when, quote,
Dave like told her like, oh, in Japanese, like, we want to buy this.
God damn it, Dave. Kelly noticed that the sales lady was suddenly really excited and was treating them like, quote,
treating us like really well at this point, kind of like we were royalty.
However, this set off no alarm bells, nor did the fact that the salesperson even had to call over a manager to sell the dress.
So I was getting ready to pay for it, and she had to call the manager for this for some reason. I was like, whatever.
I mean, when's the last time a store didn't have to summon someone who makes multiple times the rate of a sales clerk to approve a clearance item? Obviously, we can't have them selling what must be shit-tier stock unsupervised. They might lose the company an entire business lunch if you skip ordering anything that doesn't taste like dirt. The aforementioned word salad is longhand for this should have been a goddamn hint. No one needs to call their manager just to sell some D-grade stock. Jesus Christ, I don't know if I'm being too subtle or if I should just keep screaming red flag until someone arrests me for disturbing the peace.
And I was like, whatever.
So she hands over her debit card. It's declined. And rather than take that Hail Mary shot to save her ass from assured destruction, Dave processes enough broken Japanese to tell her that she needs to hand over another card. Her credit card. It goes through, and they are walked out of the store with staff insisting on holding their bag like they're escorting a dignitary to their chartered plane. Kelly remarks that she had, quote,
I had never been at a shop at Japan where they were like so thankful to have my business.
Conjectures that they must be nicer there, and wraps up the day by returning to her hotel and finally saying goodbye to Dave. First, best decision she made all day. Second, no way in hell is this over. Kelly wakes up at 3 a.m. We don't know if it's a vestigial remnant of her prefrontal cortex or just a vague notion that all is not well in the land of people with more silicone than sense, but when she reaches for her phone, she is met with an email from her bank. An email saying,
hey, you had credit card fraud.
She makes an expensive call to America to see what's going on, and the following exchange should be experienced word for word. Bank person.
Hey, did you try to spend $1,500 at La Forêt?
Kelly.
Absolutely not. What the hell is going on?
Bank person.
Seems like somebody tried to use your debit card and they tried to charge $1,500.
Kelly.
I'm like, yeah, just cancel the card, cancel that transaction, everything's fine.
Everything was not fine. Kelly was bothered by one thing though. If someone's going to steal her credit card, why would they use it within 30 minutes at the same shopping district as her purchase at Angelic Pretty? Why indeed, you know where this is going. Don't pretend you have enough faith in humanity to say differently. You knew this was coming, and it took our brave heroine until the very moment she was putting her stuff away to look down at the AP receipt and exclaim.
And I looked down at the Angelic Pretty receipt and I was like, is there an extra zero on the end of that number?
This dress was not $148, it was $1,500. And while Kelly had missed the quote, extra zero at the end of that number, it was the very same zero that was on the price tag at the store, the total at the same, and on display in each and every red goddamn flag along the way. Hit me up the next time someone walks you out of a Nordstrom because you bought a thrice discounted pair of last season's mistake, and I'll believe that there weren't enough clues to buy a bus ticket to abort mission. Basic currency conversion hit this woman like a Mack truck, and in a very human response to screwing the pooch, Kelly did what anyone would do when faced with the consequences of their repeated failure to see the flashing testament to their own undoing. Kelly panicked, contacted a rep at the company she's filming with for help with returning it, and finds out that she'll have to wait until nearly the last day of her trip to attempt to do so because fuck it, what's $1,500 when you have to shoot something that no one will care about ever unless they're on enough illicit substances to tank an entire horse, and at that point you'd make more money selling Narcan directly to the horse. Should have said nay on that one, Kelly. You can all bite me for the horse joke. I'm summoning what sense of humor I can find left in my body that hasn't been tainted by lost innocence and faith in human potential. So, on the last day, the lady at NHK calls AP and asks if Kelly can return the dress. Now, those of you who know Angelic Pretty's standard return policy will know that all sales are final. Dresses depreciate in value like a car driven off the lot, and while they will replace a purchase that has flaws, this Japanese business does not operate by what some Americans might know of as the kiss my ass because I'm a customer school of thought. So, while you could blow a horse without recourse in the US, return what you wore to do it in, and do the same goddamn thing in aisle 6 for extra store credit, this is not the US. This is Japan. And when the NHK lady hung up, she had some very bad news. Kelly didn't take it well. I don't think I have the requisite entitlement to perform her answer to this, so let's just roll clip. Kelly was told that the Angelic Pretty return policy didn't have an asterisk for pink-haired fuckwits, and
I was just like, no, I'm not going to be stuck with a $1,500 dress that may or may not fit me, probably doesn't fit me. And I was like, there's just no reason in customer service why this can't be returned. Like, it was a mistake, I'm a foreigner, like, this probably happens all the time.
No, Kelly, no it doesn't. Let's break it down, shall we? You bought a dress that was properly marked with an accurate price that you knew wouldn't fit you and think that your American version of customer service should apply in Japan because you're from America and the assumed frequency of the event entitles you to special treatment from the shop because that is definitely how a business makes money by expecting 90% of sales to be returned so they can take it up the ass in profit losses. Are you hearing yourself, or is this some kind of out-of-body experience? I would like to note again that, by your own admission, you misread the price.
Probably happens all the time.
Not if you have eyes. But of course this isn't over because Kelly has a plan. Is that plan to respect the return policy of the store that showed her such gracious service, sell the dress later on, and maybe do better next time because that's the adult thing to do? No, she enlists the support of a Chinese woman named Yuki and marches her ass to the store to try to return it anyway. Did I mention it's the last day of her trip? No? Funny how time flies. The fun and bright atmosphere of the Angelic Pretty shop died the instant they walked in. A phenomenon Kelly described with, quote,
"They knew what was coming, they knew who I was, and they knew what I was there for."
Indeed, here stands the pink-haired boob hemmoth ready to pump $1,500 from their throat, and Kelly is legitimately surprised that
that kind and generous vibe that they gave me when I bought the dress was no longer there, and now I was worthless to them.
Which she was. Because she was basically trying to ram their return policy in the ass, take back her money, and leave them with an item that has now depreciated in value by the very virtue of leaving their store in the hands of someone who apparently doesn't have the common sense to handle a price tag, let alone valuable merchandise worth a down payment on a fracking car. So she and her entitlement translator pull up to the AP manager and they go, quote,
back and forth, back and forth.
Yuki would translate for Kelly, who said,
Yuki would sometimes translate what was going on, and then I would just have to be like, I need to return this dress, nothing's going to change, you're not going to turn me away.
I.e., you can't stop me because I will throw a shit fit until the earth ceases to spin. And the exchange continued like that for nearly 20 minutes, which made them, quote,
which made us pretty late to filming, which gave me more anxiety. The whole thing was just awful.
It was at this point that Kelly thought,
but I could tell they really did not want to return this dress.
You don't say. What was your first clue? The manager saying over the phone that you can't return the dress, or the part where she said it to your face? Honest question, there's a high possibility that you misread the words all sales final. But it gets worse because after the shop manager had to get on the phone with someone higher up just to clear the return, and the shop staff spent time looking over the dress for damages that might have been incurred while in her possession for reasons that should be obvious to anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together, Kelly had the gall to impart the following.
They checked the dress thoroughly to make sure that I hadn't worn it or anything like that, and I was like, okay guys, you gotta wrap it up, right? We have to leave.
I think my soul just flew out of my body after all that. After she ignores the return policy, comes to the store in person, refuses to see reason, and gets the manager to make a phone call specifically to make an exception on her behalf to return a dress she bought because she fucked up in every way possible, she acts like the one inconvenienced. That said, at least the ordeal was finally over because they then asked for the card she paid with, swiped it, and handed it back. The dress had been returned, she actually read the receipt this time, and while she could tell that the staff were visibly upset, she didn't give a flying rat's ass because she was, quote, very relieved at this point.
And they were very upset at this point. Their faces, their body language, like they were upset. I was very relieved at this point.
Yuki gets a coffee and a thanks for helping return a dress that she shouldn't have bought in the first place. Kelly walks off into the sunset, urging her viewers to learn from her mistakes. And we all learn to ignore everything about a purchase / customer service culture in a foreign country, and how you can force them to pay for your stupidity because you deserve special treatment by virtue of being both American and unrepentantly entitled to the extent that no reasonable human being can contain your adult daycare center-styled tantrum. So, you would think this was over. But before you go and scrub the dark, soul-sucking, miserable reminder that humanity has fallen to a pit of no return from your skin, please sit a little longer and witness the following. Let's rewind. Remember right before Kelly returned the dress, she said she could, quote, tell they really did not want to return this dress?
But I could tell they really did not want to return this dress.
Well, it turns out Kelly had some theories as to why. Do you want to hear them? No? Fuck you, this is happening. If I have to suffer, so do you. Introducing Kelly's theory on why an angelic pretty shop didn't want to let her violate their return policy, especially for her, because insert disparaging judgment of her visual cortex here, and...
like, I'm assuming that, like, maybe that shop isn't doing very well.
You heard that right. She just presumed that the reason a business wants to keep their $1,500 they made from a perfectly valid purchase and is resisting violating their policy for the pink-haired princess is not because said princess learned her personality at a prep school for the near clinically narcissistic, it's because it's going out of business.
Maybe that shop isn't doing very well.
She's not refusing to take responsibility for her actions, she's just pulling pointless conjecture out of her ass in order to defend an ego so frail that she would disparage an entire business just to protect the thin film of victim complex she can maintain by sheer force of deluded will. She's also not done, because she has a famous friend / unnamed name drop to weigh in. Let's listen, shall we?
I was actually working with a very famous fashion blogger while I was in Japan, and she told me in La Ferrette, if shops don't do well, they get rid of them. Like, and they're replaced immediately. So maybe that's why Angelic Pretty was like trying to hang on to this money. So maybe they weren't doing well and they wanted to make sure the shop stays or something. I don't know what it is.
First, it's La Ferrette. Second, you are not hallucinating. This person legitimately thinks that the proper response to being told that she would have to own up to her actions like an adult was to make up rumors about the potential financial struggle of a business whose return policy she didn't personally like. A story she sold to her roughly 150,000 subscribers, for presumably no other reason than the petty inability to accept her responsibility in an event that never would have happened if she pulled her head out of her ass long enough to read a single tag. That happened. I have no more words, and that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for watching Last Week Lolita News, and be sure to tune in next week when we tackle the tough topics like, is there any hope for humanity? Why even bother waking up? And are sack dresses Lolita, to which the answer is yes, but you look like a kawaii lampshade, next time on Last Week Lolita News. This has been Tyler, you've been watching Scarfing Scarves, and I'll catch you next time. Hey there, thanks to the minute number of you who have scarred enough of their souls to make it to this point. I'd like to send an immeasurably deep thank you to my patrons whose presence has made working on this video nearly bearable enough to stop staring at the potential combo of vodka and matches. And should you like to toss your hat into the ring for more videos that are certain to lead to a deep disappointment in the human race, head over to patreon.com/lastweeklolitanews to pledge your support to this reporter's slow-moving self-inflicted insanity. I promise you will deeply regret your decision. Thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you next time on Last Week Lolita News.
That should have been a hint right there of like what was going on. That should have been a hint right there. Should have been a hint right there. Hint right there. Hint. That should have been a hint right there of like what was going on.